Well, you can spend your own money on yourself. And when you spend your own money on yourself, you're very careful of what you spend it on, and you make sure that you get the most for your dollar. You can spend your own money on somebody else. You give gifts to other people. You take people out to dinner. And when you spend your own money on somebody else, you're very careful that you don't spend too much. You try to keep down the amount you spend. But you don't worry very much about what the other fellow's getting from it. You don't pay anything like as much attention to the gifts you buy for other people as to the things you buy for yourself.
So what we're structuring here in this very short video is not monetary policy, but just an understanding of what happens as you broaden, right, where the money comes from and where it gets spent. It's a very important thing to understand when it comes to government.
Or you can spend somebody else's money, as when you're spending the government's money. I say the government's money, the taxpayers' money, which the government has control over. Now you're spending somebody else's money. Let's say you're spending your boss's money. You're out to lunch on a expense account, but you're spending it on yourself. You're very careful that you get good things for your money. You try to have a good lunch and pick the right things, but you're not very much worried about whether you get the cheapest.
Spend all you want.
Spend all you want.
Right? So in this scenario, when you're spending your boss's money, you make sure you max out that expense. You make sure you spend all of it. Right? When you're spending your money on yourself, you want good quality at a good price. When you spend your money on somebody else, you just kind of want a lower price. You're not worried about their quality. When you spend your boss's money, you want to max it out. If you have a $25 or $50 expense for the day, you're going to spend right to the limit. Probably not over, because you don't want to spend your money, but you're going to spend to the limit, and you're going to make sure what you spend is going to be damn good. You're getting the lobster, you're getting the steak, right? Whereas if you take your friend out, you're taking them out for pizza.
You'll be careless. Now, what happens when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else? You're a distributor of welfare funds. Well, you're interested in making your own life as good as you can, and most people have humane instincts and want to do the best they can, but you're not going to be anything like as careful in spending somebody else's money on somebody else. So there are 4 ways in which you can spend money.
And that's it, right? It's simple.
Well,
But to his point, that's and the larger the bureaucracy gets, the more difficult it is to assess where the money that's being spent on somebody else is going. Right? And this is what, people have to think about this. People have to understand this is what's going on at a massive scale. A scale that, unless there's societies that existed that we don't know about yet. This is on a scale that, the likes of which the planet has never seen before. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that other people are in control of, that are being spent on other people. Who the quality control apparatus for something like this is, you can't get that. It can't be efficient. There's nothing efficient about it, which is why the only thing, and I believe Milton would have agreed. I can't say that for sure. Maybe there's some writings or videos of him somewhere where the only way that it never works, right? But the best possible scenario is when you make it as local as possible. So essentially getting that out of the federal government's hands, whether it be for assistance for, food assistance or housing assistance. He probably wouldn't have agreed that the government should have any part of that. But if it did, and people voted saying that this is what we're going to do, okay, but at the very least, leave it at the local level. And the reason you leave it at the local level is because, you just have much less, there's much less to scrutinize. It's this person is, you're talking about whether it's a 50,000 person town or a 100,000 person town, or even, I mean, New York City is a monstrosity, right? So you're talking about 8.5 million people plus. So at that scale, it's unaccountable. There's just money just flying all over the place. Nobody knows what the hell's going on, right? Maybe if you broke it down to the counties, I just think once you're at 1 million plus people, like what are we even doing, right? It needs to be more localized than that. Otherwise, it's just going to go out into the ether. That's what's going to happen. I mean, it can't be. You can't. Unless these things are going to be relegated to like AI systems and are a lot more efficient, and they can detect the fraud and see what's going on, and you take the human element out of it, and it's just like mechanized system. Maybe it can work at that point. But at this point now, we have humans writing these checks, giving out these cards, shuffling around all this paperwork. It's an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess. I don't think anybody in their right mind believes they're getting their tax dollars, worth out of what's going on, whether it be for helping the poor or stuff like that. And yeah, it's a disaster. But just a really quick Friedman video. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you again in the next video.